Other interesting political news, you have the FDA wanting to reduce the amount of nicotine in cigarettes, which, interestingly enough, usually businesses are viciously against most government interactions or laws or regulations. What if this actually boosts their business because they decrease that nicotine in half, and all of a sudden you gotta buy twice the amount of cigarettes to get that same effect on your body? So interestingly enough, maybe this actually helps out the tobacco companies? I don't know. Now, this comes to NBC News. Specifically, they say, quote, FDA moves to slash nicotine in cigarettes. The proposed rule would drastically reduce the level of nicotine allowed into combustible tobacco products, but would not apply to vapes, which kind of funny because vapes is one of the fastest growing tobacco product categories out there. And I mean, historically speaking, those are the ones, my understanding, granted, I have rudimentary understanding just from a business perspective. I've never enjoyed any of these products, but it's my understanding that the vaping has a very much higher level of nicotine in them than cigarettes. Now, they say, quote, and again, this is specifically credited to Erica Edwards, the writer at NBC News, saying, quote, nicotine levels in cigarettes sold in the U.S. would have to be drastically lower under the proposal released by the FDA. If finalized, the change could mean that the cigarette would lose their ability to hook people into the addiction. Now, Brian King, the director of the FDA's Center for Tobacco Products, said during a briefing, quote, by reducing the nicotine level of cigarettes and certain other combustible tobacco products to a level low enough to no longer create or sustain addiction, the cycle of exposure to these toxic chemicals can be broken, he says, unquote. Now, they note that smoking kills more than 480,000 Americans each year. Levels of nicotine in cigarettes vary widely depending on the brand, but usually average 13 milligrams per cigarette. The FDA's plan would limit the nicotine to nearly all combustible tobacco products, a category that includes cigarettes, most cigars, and tobacco, to 0.07 milligrams, a 95% reduction. Holy smokes, pun moderately intended. Which, I don't know, I debate, are cigars really that addictive? I know they have a lot more nicotine, but anecdotally speaking, and again, everyone's different, I usually will have half a cigar a year at the corporate events that my tech company hosts, usually cigars and cybersecurity, and maybe another half a cigar when I'm taking promotional pictures, or more likely a quarter. I don't think I've ever actually finished a whole one. So to me, usually it's like a once a year experience for me. But yeah, to me, I mean, you get a small rush, but I don't like have an urge to get another one. Let me know in the comments if you think, do you think cigars are less addictive? And again, this is not medical advice or anything by that. Do you think it's less addictive? Now, my sample size, I've never tried a cigarette. So yeah, that definitely skews the data for my personal experiences as well. And I've also never tried vaping. I don't really have any inclination to try anytime soon. All I need is good old copious amounts or debatably deadly amounts of caffeine. I'm like partially kidding. I usually just have good old black coffee, a couple of pots, and every once in a while an energy drink with admittedly chemicals and ingredients I can't pronounce, but try to limit that to like very infrequently, maybe once a week. But I partially digress. Now, Dr. Robert Calf said, quote, if there's a goal to make America healthy again, I can't imagine anything more important than getting this done. They note that if the rule is finalized, companies will have 2 years to make the necessary changes. The FDA proposals do not include e-cigarettes and other products like hookahs, smokeless tobacco pockets, or nicotine replacement pouches, which, again, that's not financial advice, but that is one of the fastest growing categories of tobacco, especially with that. I'm not sure how much they spend on marketing, but Zyn. I mean, there's a moment where every damn podcaster is either directly or indirectly sponsored by them or just coincidentally love the product, and they were having brand exposure everywhere. And anecdotally speaking, I know a couple of my friends are picking those things up left and right. So at least, I guess those will still remain the same. Now, you also have Dr. Richard Besser, the former acting CDC director, saying, quote, while my preference would be to have all of these products goes down, I don't think there is value in reducing them by harming people to become addicted to cigarettes. Now, Besser also said, it's the tar and everything around the nicotine that poses the greatest risk to your body, but the nicotine is what hooks you. They continue saying the proposal was largely welcomed by the public health officials through the American Lung Association. Herald CEO Wilmer suggested that it does not go far enough. What about my freedom? Doesn't go far enough? Reducing 95% of the ingredient? What? Now he says, quote, we urge the FDA to reduce nicotine levels to non-addictive levels in all tobacco products, including cigars, hookahs, and e-cigarettes. Now they note that nearly all adult smokers start as teenagers. The FDA estimates that if finalized, the cap on nicotine would prevent 48 million kids and young adults from becoming addicted. The agency also predicts that nearly 13 million people would stop smoking within a year. Now, let's see here. Now, they have a 2018 study estimated that the nicotine cap would result in 16 million fewer people becoming addicted to smoking by the year 2060. Talk about long-term results. That number would increase per the study projection to 33.1 million by 2100. So we'll see how this pans out. Jeez, there's 95% reduction. Again, I can't but think I would guess it's a dramatically increase the number of people that are and the amount that they're buying in terms of those little vaping things, which you already see those in every drugstore and it seems like every little strip of stores has at least one of those little stores. You can't throw a brick out of a window without hitting one of those vaping shops. Which again, I understand some people love them. Personally, I think they're silly, but I understand the appeal. I can't help but think those sales would increase exponentially. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, in theory, I have no idea if this would. Let me know in the comments if you think differently. I'm not sure if this is going to affect the taste, or I certainly think it would change the experience of the product because again, it means partially because you're hooked to it and you get that nicotine rush. I'm told, but yeah, 95%. It'll be interesting to see who pushes back more, the businesses or the consumer. I was thinking maybe a 50% reduction would be, well, maybe they're doing the deal with Trump where we ask for a lot and take a little, meet in the middle like negotiation. But I thought like 50% was what they would go for, and then smokers might just buy twice as many cigarettes. With 95% reduction, I mean, are you going to have to buy? I mean, I'm not going to do the math on the whiteboard right now, but like you're going to buy a couple of cartons to get the same effect. And it'd be almost comical. It'd be interesting to see what they would switch over to. But it'll be interesting to see, again, does this get passed? Who approves it? Who's going to oppose it? But yeah, pretty big proposal for one of the biggest categories of consumer goods in the United States. And let me know your thoughts, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make it better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.